Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to From the Logo episode 80 some, I think. Thank you, Bama, for that sound effect. Anyway, we in the building. We're missing just one, and he'll be here shortly. But for now, you got your goat, ZZ Huncho, you got your goat, Gifted, you got your goat, Bama. You just got a bunch of goats just chilling, just vibing, ready to rumble, especially for the PCL, which cannot wait for that round two.
Oh yeah.
Coming for that title, taking that shit like prime Brock Lesnar or something. Take just stripping it. Just let me get that. Let me go ahead and put that on my shoulder. Anyway, moving forward, we got a good show for y'all, and we're waiting on Hayes to get here. So, for starters, we'll start off with the biggest elephant in the room, especially if you're a Mavs fan. Kyrie Irving, torn ACL, out for
Of
the season. If you're Nico Harrison, no, crazy thing is, if you're a Maverick fan, I feel like you're on suicide watch. But if you're Nico Harrison, you're on potential homicide watch. You know, you're waiting on somebody to come knock at your door and
go catch a fade.
you know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you right now, I know some Mavericks fans from here. I'm from Virginia, but I know some Mavericks fans from here that are willing to spend for Luca. Imagine what they're gonna do for just the Maverick organization in Dallas. Those fans,
Oh
those
yeah. Oh
fans,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, what are y'all's thoughts on Kyrie? You know what I'm saying? Rest up, rest up, Kyrie. We need you back in the game. You're literally one of the greatest ever. I don't care what no one says. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
Well. First off, what's good, chat? We back for another episode of Front of Local Hayes. Should be here soon. We figured to start off with this. This is bad on so many levels. We can go back to the idea of the Mavericks as a franchise choosing to trade their franchise player in Luka Doncic at 25 years old. That was bad. But remember, the logic from Nico Harrison was we're trying to win in the short term, which was putting a lot on this season to be one of the years to capitalize in terms of like a instant right now impact, because at the time Luka was hurt and wasn't playing basketball for the Dallas Mavericks. So It already looks bad that you trade him for Anthony Davis. Game one of Anthony Davis' debut on the floor for the Dallas Mavericks, he gets hurt and he's gone for however long, right? But then there's still hope, like, okay, we still have maybe Kyrie Irving. Many pieces of our front court aren't playing right now, so that's tough. But we still have guys who can go out there and perform at a high level. If we could just be near the playing range by the time Anthony Davis comes back, we can still make a run, right? At least that's the hope. And then Kyrie last night tears his ACL, which, by the way, much respect to Kyrie, because even after that happened, he still went out there and shot the free throws. So that right. So
Mamba mentality.
yeah.
Right
So I got to give him a ton of credit. But with him being out for the season, I think this cooks any chance of the Dallas Mavericks making the playoffs. I know that they've been a super resilient team without Anthony Davis, but I feel like Kyrie was playing such a big role in that, giving them a chance in all these games. With Kyrie and AD being down, that's going to hurt. And also the fact that there's been a newer report about Anthony Davis considering to also be out in the season, maybe getting that surgery on his own injury. They might not have Kyrie or AD for the rest of the season. And I respect the Dallas Mavericks, but they're in the Western Conference. There are no easy games that are just going to be easy wins for a Dallas team that already has their front court members hurt, let alone Kyrie and AD being parts of that. So to me, this basically throws away the season. I expect Dallas to go into kind of tank mode to get a value pick back. We saw the same thing happen when they initially traded for Kyrie to pair Kyrie with Luka. During that same year, they tanked in the overall half of the season, and they got Derek Lively, who helped propel them to a NBA final. So I'm expecting something similar from this team here. But I feel bad for Kyrie on a big level, because not only was he balling out, but he is in a contract year. He has a $44 million player option, guys. And I kept saying wherever Kyrie would go would definitely impact the landscape of the league, because that domino falling first would influence how teams want to move. But the fact that he's hurt, there's a likelihood that he might not get the same max contract that was out there. And more importantly, he might want to choose to opt in, which would mean by the time he gets healed up or whatever, he will go into 2026 as another free agent, which, as we've been saying, all of these teams are making their moves and jockeying for position to prepare for 2026. So it's a tough spot. It changes a lot of things in the NBA landscape for this season and the next, but I just hope that Kyrie Irving can get back on the floor in full form. Much praise up to Kyrie.
Yes, sir. Bama. How you feel, Unc? Oh, he yeah, he handling stuff. Okay. So here's my thing with this whole thing, right? Um it's not just about Kyrie for me. It's about the Mavericks as a whole. They when you look at the injuries that have happened for this team, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, that was what was it, 9, 10 months ago in the NBA finals. This is a team that last season, despite having their franchise player, who, by the way, led them in points, assists, rebounds, basically any important statistical category you can factor in for the postseason, despite that, and him doing it on one leg, mind you, one leg, he did it. Luka was out there. He wasn't playing like playoff Luka, the healthy playoff Luka that we all know. But the numbers that he put up would be better than your favorite players. It's insane. Despite him doing all of that, they trade him away. Now, people like my boss were telling me about this whole Vegas situation and how, everything is slowly transpiring to look like, okay, the Dallas Mavericks are not only tanking the season, they are tanking their organization as a whole and potentially could relocate to Vegas. Now, the story that's out there is based off of stuff that is revolving around the higher ups in Dallas. So all of this is above Luka's pay grade and even maybe potentially above Nico Harrison's pay grade. But he's just taking the fall for it because he's the one that went out there publicly and said defense wins championships. But the crazy thing, Gifted, you want to know what else wins championships? Availability.
Absolutely.
Availability. The one thing that you would always hear people say about Anthony Davis, and I love AD because he has been consistent for the last few years, but a couple of years before that, the one thing you would hear is he's never available. For as phenomenal as a defender that he is, for as phenomenal as a top 5 player that he is, when healthy, potentially all those conversations, he can't stay on the court. And it's ironic that the first game that we get from AD, we get 2.5, 3 quarters of greatness, absolute MVP caliber stuff and D-boy caliber stuff. And then he goes down. So the Mavericks and Nico Harrison need to hire extra security, and all of that, all those measures that they were going to take beforehand, they probably should do those again because if you can't walk outside in Dallas if you Nico Harrison, you need to have the Secret Service with you. You need to be escorted around in nothing less but 5% tent. You need to be locked away in a cave until next season or something. I don't know. But the fact that it's not just Kyrie with the torn ACL, you got PJ Washington who had his ankle sprain. You had Derek Lively with the ankle fracture. Anthony Davis we just talked about, and Daniel Gafford. So it's insane to me that they let they let this trade go through. This trade goes through, and basketball God said, you know what? I'm gonna injure your entire team. We're gonna take your starting lineup from you. How you feel? We're gonna take your starting lineup and your 6 man and y'all gonna sit and think about this shit. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic and LeBron over here in La La Land chilling,
Winning.
throwing lobs to each other from full court. It's insane. Like it does. It's just it's wild. Whatever. Bama, are you with us? Are you okay? How you feeling, brother?
Honestly, I'm the narrative man. And I see this as a good narrative the NBA could spin up out of. First off, Mav should tank. Oh, yeah, it's frowned upon, but I don't give a damn because it's going to align perfectly with my plan. Tank, get Cooper Flag. That could be the next heir to to Dirk because Luka was a guard. That wasn't really an heir to Dirk. They was just trying to make it an heir to Dirk because he was a white dude, white foreigner. But Cooper Flag, heir to Dirk. Dirk 2.0 right there. Hey, y'all feel me? Dirk 2.0 round right there. Build around him. You got your franchise player. And go on from there. Because first off, Anthony Davis up out there. And then on top of that, I don't even know, bro. Like, you know what type of person Kyrie is. Who's to say he even wants to come back to the NFL for another contract? You know what I mean? We just assume, not NFL, NBA for another contract. Kyrie is just Kyrie, one of them type of players where you really don't know. I think this injury is gonna have him in a lot of idle time. I think a person like Kyrie Irving with a lot of idle time, especially like him, he's gonna think about things other than basketball. And I don't see how are you going to be able to pull him back to a franchise, especially playing. You're talking about a playoff contender. It's a lot of pressure on those teams, a lot of politics, a lot of narratives built around those teams. I think after Kyrie takes all of this time off, he wouldn't really care to possibly come back to. We don't know. He possibly could, but possibly couldn't. And I just think he probably rides off into the sunset. Because didn't he have another injury too? This is second knee injury, right?
Another injury. I mean, he's had an injury history, especially when you talk about. I remember the finals when he blew his knee out in, what was it, game 1 or game 2?
Yeah. What injury was that?
That was his. I want to say his MCL. I'm not sure. Chat, help me if y'all remember what Kyrie's injury was.
So two injuries, 2 knee injuries in the span of 10, 12 years. I don't know, bro.
Look, here's the thing, Bama. I'm with you on the fact that I agree with the fact that you really don't know with Kyrie, and that's not a knock or disrespect to Kai. It's just a player like Kyrie is, once in a lifetime. So when you look at a situation that he found himself in when he ended up in Dallas, which wasn't even a team that he wanted to be drafted to, but he had to make the most out of that, and that was, I get to play with Luka Doncic, which is cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you're in a situation where you become close with Luka. Y'all missed the playoffs the first year y'all are there, and then you end up mustering up a good enough run to make it all the way to the NBA Finals. In that time, you and Luka started to understand how to play with each other, which was the biggest question mark that critics had at the time of y'all getting assembled. How are they going to play together? Y'all went from that to, are they the greatest scoring backcourt in NBA history? Y'all went from that to those conversations in a year and a half. So my point with all that is saying that is all great, and they still traded Luka Doncic away out of nowhere. So if I'm Kyrie Irving, I'm looking at it and saying the whole direction that I thought this train was going in is completely derailed. So now you pair me up with AD, who I have no problem with, but now you're expecting me to play 39.3 minutes a game. And not only that, I go from being the second option with one of the greatest offensive players in basketball today to a number 1 option out of nowhere, something that I wanted back in 2018, right? Like, so you're right, Bam. I'm with you on the fact that we don't know what the hell Kai gonna do. We don't know how he gonna feel. And like Gifta said, this is an important year and terrible time for bro to be hurt. So we'll see. But
he already was slow. I'll also tell you this too. Now, I'm gonna let you go after this real quick, Gifty. He already was a step slower. Again, I know he loved Kyrie. I know he loved his dribble moves, but I was starting to notice about 2 years ago, them dribbles started spamming a whole lot more than what he used to spam them, bro. Like, the reason why we love Kyrie, because he had a crafty way to get to the rim. He had to set up a few more counters and combos to get to the rim, how he does now, dog. Like, so he already was a step slow. This MCL, ACL injury, whichever one it is, it ain't gonna make him no faster. So he finna get even slower on top of that. So I mean, I just think, bro, set off into the sunset, man. Honestly, I don't really see too many scenarios where he possibly come back unless he just want to prove somebody wrong and get another ring without Bron or some type of narrative like that.
Yeah,
but I think he just go off into the sunset. Honestly,
I don't think that.
I don't think so. I think Kyrie is in basketball mode. I know that there have been moments in his career where people have been confused about his behavior off the court or whatnot, but ever since he signed in Dallas, for the most part, he's been pretty consistent. This injury, he actually talked about and told people that he's trying to like heal up and he is laser focused on the recovery. I don't think his basketball days are behind him, but there is a good chance that after this ACL, the Kyrie that we knew isn't going to be the same yet again. He is an older player, but I do think what helps Kyrie Irving is Kyrie's game isn't built on raw physicality. It's always been skill. And I don't think the skill in his game is ever going to leave him, but he will lose productivity. And to me, like, this is more about what Dallas is trying to do as a team, because whatever their plans with Anthony Davis included, Kyrie needed to be on the roster with Anthony Davis to show them to be like a real team. So him being out for maybe a year means that even if they re-sign him or if he opts in to that player option, he's going to be impacted at the beginning of the season with this. So their roster construction is going to have to try to account for those missed games from Kyrie, which then brings me to the option of him still getting a max contract where teams are going to probably second guess more than ever because of the second apron, where we're seeing players not get the money they think that they're entitled to because these teams are afraid of going over that second apron to pay these guys. And we've seen players like Klay Thompson, right? After he came back from his ACL and his Achilles, Golden State didn't want to offer him the contract that he wanted because they felt like Klay wasn't the same, and Klay wasn't the same. Klay did not look like the same player. But for Kyrie, I feel like what, again, aids him is his game has always been under the rim, super, super like laser skill locked in terms of where to get to places and using his balance of his handle to get to his spots, even though he was
his speed got him there though. Gifted. It wasn't. He's but not 6'7". He's not 6'7", 6'8". So it's not like his physicality is getting him there. His speed, his quickness is getting him there. If you really watch him, he's not getting to those spots as quick as he used to. Like, and them shots is a lot more contested. That's why we love Kyrie, because he makes such tough shots. But these shots are coming. Them contested shots are a lot more frequent than what they used to be. I'm trying to tell you, dog. I know.
But that's why I'm bringing up the handle, though, because the handle for Kyrie is what has enabled him to go this long, even though his speed isn't the same. This entire season, most of his shot profile has come off of those things. And also his skill of being a good off-ball player and becoming a more catch-and-shoot reliant player as well has been steps, in my opinion, to aid his longevity into his career, speed or not.
No matter how good your handle is, you can't dribble in one spot.
Kyrie doesn't dribble in one spot.
But what I'm saying is him getting slower is almost simple. These dudes in the NBA is pretty fast, man. It's a pretty fast-paced game. So losing a step or even 2 steps in this case, like that's very pivotal to it. But again, look at. So this is how I try to paint it to people. You see how Paul George almost looked like he didn't lose too much of a step from what he used to be in Indianapolis because he's 6'8". So his vert probably went from like a 44 where he was doing 360s to a 38, but he's still above the rim. He's still at 36. He's still above the rim because he's 6'8", 6'9".
I think with Paul George, we knew
Derrick Rose
everything though.
But still though, he still had the moments where he was dunking on people. He still had the moments where he was hitting them fading threes, all of that. Derrick Rose he became a complete different player after he lost.
Right. I know that for sure.
Because he's 6'1". You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Because if I'm 6'1" with a 44-inch vert and I get hurt, that shit is going to be very detrimental to the athlete I am. Like for instance, with Kyrie, him being as fast as he is at 6'1", 6'2", him losing that step is going to be very detrimental to what he is on the court. Like KD, he can tear an Achilles because he's 7 foot. So a lot of his game is still back to the basket anyway. KD always played back to the basket from the mid-range. So yeah, is he blowing by people? Probably not, but he still can get all his shots off because he's 7 foot. He still can get to the rim because he's 7 foot. He still can defend that because he's 7 foot. He still can get rebounds because he's 7 foot.
To your point, Bama, I will say, because you brought up Derrick Rose. Now, the thing that to your point, Rose was a completely different player from the moment that he tore his ACL all the way up to like who he was in the 2011 season, who he was in the 2015 season, and who he was in the 2018 season when he was with the Timberwolves. Even in 2021, he went through different stages post-injury, post-traumatic injury. He went through different stages on how he could attack and evolve his game. The one thing you saw him improve on over the years was his three-point shot. By the time Derrick Rose got back to New York the second time, not in 2017, in 2021, his three-point shot, he was amongst the best shooters in the league at one point in that year. I think for that year, he was above 40%, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen the numbers in a while, but I remember comments about it. Nonetheless, the point that I'm making is he figured out ways that he knew, okay, my athleticism, even Rose said after he tore his ACL the first time, his vert after he got through with rehab was higher than it had ever been. But like you said, like Bama, he couldn't do the same stuff that he was doing prior to that tear. So to your point about Kyrie, though, when I look at Kyrie Irving and his game, I think about other players that I thought of in this instance. Russell Westbrook in his prime, for example. I remember looking at him in 2017 and saying, this is peak Russ. This is peak Russ. This is going to be peak Russell Westbrook. Athleticism wise, jump shot wise, whatever. Later on in his career, once he starts dwindling down on the athleticism and he loses that explosiveness, he's going to have to fall back on his jumper. And his mid-range was shaky back then, but in 2017, it was literally peak Russ. So he can knock a few of them down. You can live with it. Now it's different. His game is more predicated on, okay, if I can get a rebound, I can still get a rebound. I can still go get assists. I can knock down the corner three if I get it. I can still take one-on-one isolation if the team needs it in spurts, but he has to do that. With Kyrie Irving, the handles are still going to be there. The sidestep in the threes, like you said, Bam, the contest on that, I don't know. We're going to have to see that part. And maybe to an extent you could say driving in based on his size. But Kyrie is still a top 3 finisher in the history of basketball around the rim for his size already. We seen Kyrie do shit that we ain't seen 6'5" niggas do. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that element of his game, his float game, is going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like all those elements, I feel him being able to still have a quick first step to get past somebody somehow, some way when needed is still going to be there. So I feel you in a sense, just based off of looking at other players, but I think Kyrie is gonna be fine. He's gonna figure something out more.
I mean, that's kind of like my point with I would say the difference between the D Rose stuff and the Kyrie stuff. Kyrie's game is just more equipped for this modern era more than D Rose, because Rose's game was much more predicated on his athleticism. Kyrie understanding how to be a productive off-ball player and a skilled shooter is going to extend him, but he will be slower, right? This injury can absolutely impact certain areas of his game, but I don't think Kyrie's done playing basketball. I think he's going to look to progressing towards this second half of his career. We just got to see exactly how long he's able to extend that. We got to see, but I think the biggest thing with this though is that for me, this impacts the Western Conference right now this season, because the Mavericks were fighting for a play-in spot, and now that they're out, I think that they're going to lose games, which means that there could be another play-in spot open for either the Suns, who have been very, very bad, very, very stinky, or the Trailblazers, who ironically are playing really inspired basketball right now. And that race at the end is going to be very fun to monitor. So I can't wait to see like what that turns into for the rest of this season.
Yep. Kyrie gonna have to go to a team where he'll be a backup point guard. That's the best I see him. The most I see getting up out of Kyrie is a backup point guard. After this injury.
So you literally,
I'm just being honest, bro. Right, I love Kyrie, bro, and I know it hurt, bro, because we love these players so much, dude. Again, he already had lost a step. This Kyrie we see lost a step. You telling me again, after he's probably gonna lose another step, and you think he's gonna be able to be a number 2, number 3 on a championship team? No, he's gonna be a backup
point guard.
Kyrie Irving, who do you think he is? Darren Williams, bro. No disrespect to Darren Williams, but damn, this is Kyrie Irving. Literally,
no, but listen, it's not about no. It's not about love. It's not about nostalgia. Kyrie's skill level alone will still make him be a starting guard in the league.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see. Who you picking? That's like, I feel like you think Bronny gonna have more important role than in 5 years.
I actually do. Y'all don't do Bronny like this. I hate his daddy is LeBron James, bro, because he actually is nice, bro. Y'all just
he nice in his fan club. But would you take him over Kyrie Irving? Would you take him over Kyrie Irving post ACL? That's my question. Would you take him over Kyrie Irving post ACL?
All right, so we chatting now.
We
ain't chatting.
I just need to see it. Could I see like a summer? Can I see like a summer workout? I would have to see like a summer workout, man. Like, cause look, you might be cooking something. I ain't gonna cap. You might be cooking something.
What is he cooking?
Who cooking what?
Would you take Bronny over Kyrie after
I'm
that?
not,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking about no dumb shit, man. Next topic, bro. That's stupid as hell.
You might
talking about some Bronny.
All right. Let's move on. Let's move forward.
That's crazy. The Bronny disrespect need to stop.
Bronny disrespect.
So speaking of hot starts and all that stuff, I mean not hot starts, I mean hot streaks. That's what I mean. Like bro said, Portland has been fairly solid.
They've been killing.
5-5 in their last 10, but a lot of the games have been close down to the wire, and they've been able to pull out a little bit of some surprises within the time. Shout out them, but that's not really who I'm really focusing on now. I really want to focus on the Golden State Warriors securing the 6th seed. Now, Gifted, walk with me for a second. The Warriors went from 9th, 10th range. Since acquiring Jimmy Butler, they're 8-2, right? Defense looks locked the hell in. Offensively, Steph Curry looks as free as he did in 2021, and he had bums on that team. Now, my question to you is, because my thought process with the training happened was, okay, how do they get to the 6th seed? They're here now. Okay. They're about 4 games behind the Rockets. And with one of the easiest paths left in terms of regular season games scheduling, do you see the Warriors getting any higher than the 6th seed? Bama, I want you to chime in too.
I looked at the schedule for the Warriors. They have one of the more easier schedules in the Western Conference remaining, but I feel like rising above the 6th seed would require someone that's fighting for the 5th or 4th seed to fall. To me, that would have to be the Houston Rockets, who have been losing some games as of late, but it would also take a Golden State to fend off everyone else who's also competing for the 6th seed and really create a lot of separation and distance. In my opinion, I'm not surprised if Golden State stays at 6. They still have to show a consistently larger sample of work, but so far with Jimmy Butler, they have been a much better team. But they're also a older team. They also have more guys down the stretch who are veteran players, so their productivity could wane. But I do think a 6th seed is realistic for the Warriors to stay at for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear you. But me, myself, person.
My bad.
Yeah.
Bama, how you feel? I was calling you everything under the sun. I was like, Bamante, Bam. Like, what you like? What's going on?
Myself, personally, I'm a little bit different than everybody else. I respect Steph to the most high. One of the greatest point guards ever in the NBA. Do I think they just go make a crazy push to 2? I could see them moving up to 5 or 4, maybe. You know what I mean? Because Jimmy Butler provide what they need. Enough of a good, decent, smart enough player to occupy enough space to, like you said, Steph can now play soccer again, where you're running free all over the court. You're running into 50 million screens. It is 3 ball. And when Steph is able to do that, I can never count the Golden State Warriors out. Never count the Golden State Warriors out, because he showed you. He didn't showed you with that team. What was that?
That
Jason Tatum. That was 2022. Yes. Yep. Tell me, who did he have? Clay came alive every few games. Every game, it was like, besides that, bro, they figured out some type of way to have him run freely how he did, and he did it all the way to the championship, where he laid that layup was so nasty with the left too up under the rim. Yeah, Steph is something serious, bro.
Now here's my thing. Bam. I like that you said. I like every single thing that you just said. Gifted you as well, because you brought a level of reality to the situation of what we're facing, not just for the Warriors, but other teams vying to get a playoff spot, not just a play-in spot, or maybe just that 6th seed to really round off the playoffs. Yeah. When I look at this Warriors team, bro, like Bama just said, Steph Curry, all he needs is somebody that can get him the ball. For years, it was Draymond Green, whose responsibility was to occupy that space that Bam was talking about. Free throw line, you know what I'm saying, high block area, watching for backdoor cuts and watching for Steph coming off of screens. Easy job. And to make it even more insane, he was the screen setter doing all this shit. So Draymond, I saw a post the other day, is Draymond a Hall of Famer? Yeah, 100% he is. Jimmy Butler is also able to do that. Difference is a locked-in Jimmy Butler, who's, like Bama said, one of the underrated, smartest players in the league, especially in his years. The way that Jimmy Butler is able to pick apart defense is that are essentially the way that defenses, I used to describe it, defenses used to play Jimmy Butler almost as if to be like, you know what, we'll live. But then after like a couple shots go in, it's like, okay, maybe we got to play a little bit more. And then Jimmy sees that, and then he's just playing reaction basketball, getting guys involved, finding lanes, getting to the free throw line. The Golden State Warriors, before Jimmy Butler, could not buy a call. Steph was getting beat up. Steph was getting slapped, scratched, you name it, he got it. Now with Jimmy Butler, all of a sudden the referees went, okay. Never mind the fact that you're light skinned and you whelp easily, and we can see that. But you got Jimmy Butler now, so I guess we'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
They finally gave the Golden State Warriors a grifter.
Exactly.
They've never had that before.
So you look at that, and like Bama said, you allude back to that 2022 team. The craziest part about that team was that once we got to the finals, I remember before the finals started, Boston was heavily favored. Warriors were underdogs, but the story was Boston had more talent. And on paper, it's easy to see why you would assume that. And in the finals, when you look at a production standpoint, like, mind you, this wasn't the same Golden State Warriors Big Four, Steph, Clay, Dre, and Iggy that went to the finals in 2015. Iguodala was coaching Wiggs, and Draymond was ass and getting booed out of the building, letting Boston fans get into his head. Klay Thompson was, like you said, he showed up every once in a while, knocked down a little dagger or go ahead for you. But Steph was the only constant, and Looney's rebounding and Wiggins' defense. That was it. Was the only constant for the Warriors in that 6-game series. So
also, too,
go ahead.
In the playoffs, if you want to go ahead and double Steph, I don't know. I'm gonna take Jimmy Buckets 1-on-1 with a lot of people in the playoffs, boy. I'm gonna take that 1-on-1 matchup against a lot of people, boy.
Damn straight.
Man.
Damn straight. Now, look, you factor in the fact that what the Warriors needed was a go-to scorer, and what nobody is talking about is Jonathan Kuminga, and I can't wait for Kuminga to come back, and then the Warriors look even more dangerous because that offense is even more unlocked. I can't wait to see how.
That's what I can't wait for the most.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like they have not had Kuminga for a grip now, and like in the games with no Jimmy Butler, their bench hasn't been quite the same. Having Kuminga play a volume role off the bench will only make their bench scoring way better. And it gives you another athletic freak on this team, who, by the way, was the only person getting to the free throw line before Jimmy Butler joined this team. So now the base amount of times this team goes to the free throw line will go up again once Kuminga steps back on the floor. So I like this a lot. I still think the thing that's like weaker for Golden State, though, is their consistent front court production. Looney has been so bad outside of rebounds occasionally at times. He's going to pick apart a lot more defensively. But outside of that, I think Quentin Post is a good big, but he's young, first-year player, good shooter, but doesn't really do the other things you need him to do better at a high level. And in the playoffs, those are the traits that are really going to matter. Trace is out the rotation right now, and they're going to need him to buy in as well. So there's some growing pains for Golden State, but at the end of the day, what this offense was before Jimmy Butler was we can throw 3 or 4 bodies at Steph with a bunch of non-spacers who aren't that talented, and we can take advantage and win out. But now it's like, if you do that, Jimmy Butler can break your zone. He can operate in the middle of the paint and basically get to the free throw line and get his points on the inside while Steph dominates you from the outside. And that mix is a lot more perfect for playoff basketball than anything Golden State had beforehand.
Damn straight. Because if you look back, like Bama said, bro, in that 2022 run, it was you had to rely on Clay as the second option. Then I think back to 2023, actually, in the playoffs when they lost to the Lakers in 6, and Wiggins had like broken ribs by game 6, and LeBron absolutely feasted on him. Anyway,
sure did.
I think back to that series, and I was like, damn, Clay and the responsibility that he has post his injuries is not sustainable. If the Warriors had if Kevin Durant never left the Warriors, and you tell me that in that year 2023, you have Kevin Durant, Steph, and Clay, but Clay's the third option. He's a much more productive player. And you play, and even if they had him now with Jimmy Butler, but I guess in his role will be Bradley Beal. But you look at the guys that Jimmy is actually impacting since he got here. Brandon Podziemski, is playing more solid defense than he was before Jimmy got there. I mean, he was just a charge getter at times, but now he's playing passing lanes, moving his puppies a little bit, and now he's just a little bit more attentive in certain spots. Like Gifta said about Quentin Post. Post is young, but they're going to be able to mold him into what they need him to be, I feel like. Draymond's only getting older. It was his birthday today, I think. But the knowledge that he can teach him about just while maintaining his perimeter shooting, which is important, especially for the Warriors system, being more of a force on the interior was really what made the Warriors all the way back then. It was the reason why Andrew Bogut didn't need to shoot and why David Lee really didn't even need to shoot threes. And while Mo Spates was shooting like 1.7 a game back then, he could shoot. They didn't need him to shoot. They did it, and if they did, it was in spurts, right? Coming off the bench. So the Warriors have certain they aren't a perfect team, right, by any stretch, but they are a dangerous team. And if anything, I've learned about watching this team for the last 10 years is if they have a little bit of a chance, if the playoff luck ball drops their way just a little bit, and Steph, it's basically like sharks in the water. Steph smells blood. He's one of them ones. Braun is another one of them ones, right? Ant is slowly becoming one of them ones. He just got to put together a little bit more solid postseason campaigns. But yeah, I think that's all for the Warriors topic. We agree.
Yeah. Going to be fun to see how they play continuing the rest of the season forward.
Yeah. KD's so we're waiting on Hayes still for the KD segment. For the 5 best trade destinations. But while we wait, chat, if you would not mind dropping some of your best trade destinations for Kevin Durant in the chat while we wait to cover our main topic of the day. Gifted Bama, has there anything in the NBA world that has just, caught your attention recently that you wanna address or share with your fellow panelists in chat?
Anything in the basketball world that's drawn my I would say for me, how good the Lakers defense has been without Anthony Davis. They have been a very, very productive team, and I feel like a lot of people said that this trade was clearly for the future, and it was, but the viability of it in the present could actually be better than a lot of people thought, considering how well LeBron is playing, and now that Luka can be on ball more. Brown looks really unlocked and revitalized, and he averaged 29 in the month of February at 40 years old. Like this Lakers team is actually a lot more interesting than I once had thought.
Facts. I agree. Bama, what you feeling? Bama?
Zion. The emergence of Zion.
Okay.
Or I ain't gonna say the emergence, just the I told you, bro. It's so many things in the NBA, bro. For real. Pistons. So much you could talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I ain't gonna say too much on the Pistons because I got a narrative I want to spin with them. Or what if? Because, man, I'm just trying to tell you, man, that they could upset a few people. If they could upset a few people. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the NBA. Yeah.
I will say, I think there was a moment in time where Cade Cunningham wasn't getting a lot of love earlier in the season.
He was getting shitted on not even a couple years ago.
More specifically, on Player's Choice. I think it was on the panel. I forgot who said it. But damn, bro, chill, like shit.
Hey man, shout out to Penn for saying it.
Oh, it was Penn. That's right. Well, look who just decided to show up. It is my boy Hayes. He is in the building, and now we can finally start.
What's good, Hayes?
What's good, fam?
Hayes.
Hey, he is.
Welcome, my brother. I'm gonna hand you the host responsibilities now. I held this shit down.
Handed it back over to me. Where we at?
We haven't gotten to the KD conversation yet.
Right.
Did y'all talk about Kyrie already?
Yes, we did. Okay. What's your thoughts on that, real quick, Hayes?
Yep. I mean, here's the way that I look at it, man. I fully am somebody who believes in karma, And Nico Harrison has doomed that Dallas Mavericks franchise. And in all honesty, it may end up working out for them because they do own their own pick in 2025. They got to hope that Phoenix or somebody's going to be able to pass them up. And if they keep their draft pick and it turns into a lottery pick this year, if they get lucky, they could get a new piece to build around. But I think that the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison are going to have to face the reality very, very soon. If Nico Harrison thought he was going to be able to keep this thing going on the fly and somebody was going to come in and save him, it's not going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Like, this is such bad timing, but especially like Kyrie in a player option season for Dallas, like the choice that they're going to have to make if they want to extend him to a full max money despite the ACL tear in this new CBA is tough. I don't know.
If they extend him or the ACL tear over 30, I'm sorry. That's just up there with trading Luka. Like you got to let it go at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, man. But Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns reportedly are going to be working with Kevin Durant and his representation to find him a new destination here in the offseason. I want to get into some of the best trade destinations for Kevin Durant. But what do you guys think about Kevin Durant and the Suns working together and finding a new destination?
I think it's the funniest shit ever.
It's a damn shame.
I think I think it's hilarious because I have never seen a team, or Shams at least, report about trading their best player post deadline when they cannot be traded anymore. It's hilarious. And I honestly think that it hurts them because I think the value for KD was actually higher this trade deadline than it will be in the offseason because now KD has 1 year left on his deal, I'm pretty sure, before he can actually say like where he wants to go. I think KD has more say in it now, right? At least by the deadline, his value was really inflated because teams are thinking, okay, he's healthy right now. He's in game shape right now. We can strike right now and get like an all NBA player while the iron is hot, right? And they had a very good deal that was there with Golden State that didn't go through because KD said he didn't want to go. And then KD goes on to Draymond's podcast and says, yeah, I didn't want to go to another team mid-season. I felt like that would have been too much. So, like, it's funny because KD, unlike Bradley Beal Hayes, doesn't have a no-trade clause. So the Suns could have took that deal. So now we're about to see many other teams get into the mix for Durant. But how much his value is now, I don't think you get back as much as the Suns had to give up to get him. I think now it's going to be a net loss. So seeing what happens with that is going to be very, very fascinating for me to monitor this offseason.
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. And the reason that it's a damn shame is because the Phoenix Suns are a team that I was actually fond with, having as my dark horse once upon a fucking time. That was in 2021 when they had Chris Paul, and I was like, oh, yeah, Chris Paul's on a redemption tour, and I'm glad he's finally getting his flowers. They made the finals. He knocks out his former team and the Los Angeles Clippers in the conference finals. Perfect little NBA storyline, you know what I'm saying? And happily ever after until Giannis 50-pieced them niggas and shit got spooky real quick. Now, fast forward to 2025, Chris Paul has been traded, gonzo. You now have Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. You went from a team that once had Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Shit, I'll throw Jay Crowder in the mix. Hell, I might throw Campaign in the mix. Hell, I ain't say nothing about DeAndre Ayton yet. You had a team. You had an actual team that was constructed. Yeah, you could have traded some of those pieces. DeAndre Ayton was not dominating, so get him up out of here. Jay Crowder was complaining, wanting to get paid Tobias Harris money, but not even producing his numbers. So it was interesting to me. Like, you had a situation where you had bodies that could have got moved, and you chose to chop one of the heads of the three-headed, monster, right? You chopped Chris Paul up out of there. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You had to slime your boy. You ended up landing Kevin Durant. It's fine. But now we're in a situation where Bradley Beal, you end up with a man with no trade clause getting paid $50 million to average less than 18 points a game. And he don't even know what his role is on the team. You brought him in thinking that you brought him in without even knowing what position he was going to play in the backcourt. That's a problem. So you found and not only have you ended up in that situation, but you don't own your own picks until when, ladies and gentlemen? When? 2032.
It's bad, bro.
So the Phoenix Suns, an organization that went from 1990s nostalgia with Charles Barkley winning MVP and all that shit, just for Michael Jordan to average 40 a game against y'all niggas. Y'all went from that, right, to the Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, 7 seconds or less. Awesome, great. We went to 4 conference finals with Steve Nash. Couldn't get to the big dance. And then you do all of that. 10 years later, you land Devin Booker. He was giving everything to the franchise, putting up 70 to lose by more than 20. He was doing everything. And you reward him over time with incompetence. Yeah, you can't say technically Devin Booker. I mean, the Suns didn't give Devin Booker no help because they did, but they were incompetent in the ways in which they did it, and they didn't capitalize on the 1 year that they had enough to make it to the finals. They didn't capitalize. They didn't capitalize again. So to be honest, like Gifford said, it's hilarious. It genuinely is. And now you're in a situation where you have a top 75 player, top 3 scorer in the history of basketball, in my opinion. You have him, and you brought him in saying not even a year ago, hey, we have no intentions of trading Kevin Durant, none at all. We're going to re-sign him, and we're going to live happily ever after. He's going to ride off into the sunset, literally. Nah, that's not happening anymore. It's not happening. Now you're throwing him to the wolves and saying, all right, well, who wants what? What can I get for him now? You don't know what your direction is. Once Kevin Durant's traded, we're going to have to start having some conversations about Devin Booker because his time needs to go. They wasting his time at that point. That man has been through 12 years in a relationship with a Kardashian and ain't got nothing in return. Nothing. Shit is
a relationship with a Kardashian, bro.
Technically a Jenner. My bad.
That's crazy. But that's the thing that's crazy about all this is that they want to still try to construct something around Devin Booker, but we'll get into that in a second. Bam, how do you feel about the Suns trying to trade KD?
I mean, I ain't mad at it. You know, KD like basketball. He ain't finna sit over there in a shit show too long, no way. So, I don't know. They should have did a better job of constructing that team. I think they was playing my team, and that shit backfired, bro. You can't always do that. You don't see them my teams assembled too often and able to do something.
Well, both the ones that we saw assemble were with KD. He's on 2 failed super teams, the Suns and the Nets.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I think the Nets was more so. I think the Nets was more so. I don't know. That was weird, bro. The Nets was because it should have worked. And then I don't even think all of them played. They never all played at the same time. And then when they did play at the same time, they actually won majority of the games.
They only played like 16 games total.
Yeah. And they go like 13-3. They win something like that. 13-3, 12-4 together, something like that.
It was killer.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of don't hold the Nets against him. I do, but I don't. Because, yeah, he did get Steve Nash over there. That was kind of a mistake.
Kind of. That was
because you never know. But honestly, you never know because he could have turned out to be a good coach. Like somebody that
if you need 3 superstars to be a halfway decent coach, you're not a good coach, my boy.
I think the real mistake was letting go of
because that's how we got Doc Rivers.
Ime and who is it? I think letting go of Mike D'Antoni and Ime was their biggest mistake. On top of that, with the Harden stuff, also. Trading Jared Allen for nothing. They didn't have to do that, and they decided to do that. That was also bad, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, like you said, Bama, I can't really fault KD for. I mean, because like on one hand, you can say, yeah, he wanted Steve Nash, but nigga, he ain't making a decision. Like that's the front office.
I fought Kevin Durant though.
They chose Steve Nash.
Look.
KD chose him. KD chose him.
You're right. He chose him. He chose him. But if you were to ask this same question to a LeBron fan, he would tell you LeBron don't make the final decisions. So with that being said, we're going to apply that to Kevin Durant, and we're going to look at that.
But KD chose to ally.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. 100. Nick, we all on the same page right here. I'm just advocating for the devil real quick because Kevin Durant, it wasn't his fault for everything. That nigga had 49, 17, and 11 in an elimination game. That nigga was giving his all. Into that season. So I can't. If he
and I respect your devil's advocate point, but fuck that for a second. When you go to the Phoenix Suns and you and Devin Booker are tweeting / texting Bradley Beal to come over to Phoenix, not giving a fuck about his no trade clause, just thinking we all hoopers, let's hoop together. That's part of you dooming your roster. The problem with Phoenix is the flexibility that they could have had to get better players next to them was hamstrung by Bradley Beal.
For a team that was never going to work.
Never going to work.
It was never going to work.
Fault, though?
Yeah. When you wanted Bradley Beal, yes.
I mean, yeah, but like, here's my thing with that though. Like, I can't say that because I mean I can, but at the same time, I'm the only reason I'm trying to play devil's advocate here is just.
So you mean to tell me? Hold on. So
Right.
You mean to tell me it's somebody on that job whose job is to construct the best roster possible with a salary cap, but you mean to tell me he is finna listen to a player that's been on 3 teams within 7 years about who to bring in and how to construct the roster when his job is on the line too?
Yes, when the ownership goes and says, yeah, give Kevin Durant or whatever the hell he wants. When the owner comes down and says, we're going to build a statue of Kevin Durant.
So you mean to tell me in the same breath, we just saw the Giants trade away Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles, and the owner was literally in there saying, hey, man, I'm going to lose sleep if he happens to go to Philadelphia because he's by far our best player. Bro, them owners don't have all the final say-so. That's why,
bro, you're comparing 2 completely different organizations and 2 completely different. Way different situations, Bama. It's way different situations, Bama.
Because we are going to do this.
We are going to do this because, Bama, you got to stop coming with the casual takes and then trying to paint it as if you know, bro. Megan Sheba, the owner of the Suns, literally, if you would have asked that man, he owns outright. In NFL, it's different. In NFL, you have boards of governors.
It's not.
And yes, you have one overall figurehead that owns that is the majority owner. With NBA, you still have majority owners and everything, but you got a one guy who runs the day-to-day operations. The way that the Suns operate, the owner literally said, we're going to build KD a statue before the nigga even won 5 games in the Suns uniform.
That's a fact.
No, that's facts. That's facts. 100%.
But even beyond that, my problem with the comparison is the NFL is not a player empowerment league. The NBA
I don't
is.
care about the empowerment. I'm just literally showing you.
You should
chain of command, bro. They still hire.
Okay, who's the chain? You're not showing it. Where's the chain of command?
But listen,
who's the chain of command? Do you even know these dudes? Who's the name of the Suns, Bama?
They still hire these dudes for a reason, bro. And that's to construct the best roster with
and that's great. But if an owner comes in and says, no, I want you to do whatever Kevin Durant says, that's still part of your job to listen to the owner.
Like, yeah, whoever make it, like when you think about the Lakers making decisions, like, and that's why I brought up LeBron, because in LeBron's case, the player empowerment is like it's a given. If LeBron ends up on your team, that he takes part ownership of that team in terms of organizational movements, in terms of trade.
Did they get rid of DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi, even though that's not what the team wanted?
That was now that Kawhi thing was a whole nother.
Now we're finna tap dance somewhere else. We're finna move.
These are bad
comparisons to things that don't have are different situations. The Kawhi Leonard thing happened. People let's take a step back.
And
Kawhi Leonard thing happened because the franchise and Kawhi Leonard disagreed on what to do with his injury. Kawhi got pissed by that and wanted the hell out of there. So at that point, they try to salvage as best as they can and get Kawhi up out of there before he disrupted the team. Because Kawhi, when the franchise thought Kawhi's just over here bullshitting about his injury, Kawhi's people and his doctors saying, no, the motherfucker's hurt. He can't play basketball. That's what caused the rift there. It's a completely different situation.
I'm not tripping about with Kawhi and the Spurs. What I'm talking about is the Raptors got rid of one of their franchise players. Even though Kyle Lowry didn't want them to get rid of DeMar DeRozan, they still got rid of him for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
that
and you know what's the same Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. Are you really talking about what Kawhi Leonard wanted versus what Kevin Durant wanted? The franchise looked at Kawhi Leonard and said, "We want to win a title. We tied again." To your point, that's what the ownership wanted. They wanted to do whatever it took to win a title. It's not comparable to a franchise that said, we're going to do whatever Kevin Durant says because we want to make Kevin Durant happy because the owner is sitting there on his knees sucking Kevin Durant's dick. Completely different situation.
if that's what if that's what you know, since you're an NBA insider, if that's what you think the owner is saying, instead of trying to win championships or a ring or whatever, when they was just in the finals not too long ago, you got it. I didn't know
But it's
that.
not even
I didn't know
inside work,
basketball ran
That's
like
not inside. That's common knowledge.
I would just say, like, the problem with all this though is like your comparisons are not good for this reason, right? Kawhi got traded because, to Hayes' point, the injury stuff between how he viewed it and how the front office viewed it were two different things. So they traded him for pennies on the dollar to the Raptors. The Raptors said, okay, well, this build has not been working. We're losing in the playoffs. LeBron is beating us every single year in the playoffs. We're going to trade DeMar DeRozan. Kawhi is on a one-year rental. If it doesn't work, we're going to blow it up. And they won, right? But that was because their owner was dedicated to making that happen. And also, respect to Kyle Lowry, right? He is a Raptors legend. Kyle Lowry is not no Kevin Durant. When you are a certain caliber of player in the NBA, teams acquiesce to your demands because it's a player empowerment league. We saw it with LeBron. We've seen it with James Harden all those years he spent in Houston, getting star after star to join him. We saw it in OKC where they were trying to field their team, right? Like, we've seen it in many different ways. So for the Phoenix Suns, the biggest culprit is they got a new owner in Matt Ishbia who had never been a part of the NBA until that moment. Okay. So when he came in, he said, okay, it's my regime now. It's me. It's my team. Let's make a splash. So they trade all their picks or whatever for Kevin Durant. They lose in the first year. Then they go get Bradley Beal. The owner is saying we got to be super aggressive if we want to win a championship, and that was their version. So, yeah, there is some blame to go there for that. But for star player Kevin Durant and for star player Devin Booker to be going back-to-back for Bradley Beal, they are a part of what doomed their roster. Is the point?
To that point, Gifted. The best analogy that I can bring in now to showcase that player empowerment differential, that shit extends to even players like as quiet as Steph Curry is. Bama, what you think Steph Curry told the Warriors prior to the trade deadline? If I was Steph Curry, I would have told him, hey, look, we are a game below 500. If y'all don't make a move, I'm going to make a call and have Draymond slap the shit out of every single one of y'all to make somebody make some shake. Literally. They make a call.
Talking about somebody asking for a logical move versus bringing Bradley Beal over there, and you saw what happened to the whole bench of the
Hey, same thing with Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. That was a terrible fit, but they did it.
And we're not arguing the fact of if it was a smart move or not. It's not. It wasn't. But they acquiesced to what Kevin Durant's wants were.
And that's
the same thing happened in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant wouldn't have went there if Kyrie wasn't there.
Okay. Basically what you said.
I will look even more to you. The next situation was really bad because when KD and Kyrie went to Brooklyn, people forget about this. The reason why Jared Allen got traded is because KD and Kyrie were saying, you got to play DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
They were telling him you got to play DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, that playing power. But listen, if your choice is play DeAndre Jordan, who's not a NBA starting center anymore, minutes, but you get to have Kevin Durant or Kyrie, what you gonna do?
Didn't they get that nigga a bag too?
Yeah, they paid him. They paid him, and that's off the back of Kevin Durant and Kyrie.
You just unlocked like memories for me. DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin were on that team at one point. Yo. Now look, bro. I feel like Bama, I think you do have a point to an extent, but I think that the Nets are just a bad example of everything. Like everything, what not to do. The Brooklyn Nets are like number one on that list and were for multiple years. I mean, from player empowerment, letting you come through and say, we want this coach and we want this player and you better give it a bag. And the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie both looked at Brooklyn and said, we need to go to a place that doesn't have any championship history so that when we touch down, we are automatically on the all-time team in 2K next year. That is what they were doing for Brooklyn. They said, you know what, let's go here. So we got a little bit more influence than what Kevin Durant might have had in Golden State or what Kyrie had in Cleveland with LeBron James. Because if Kyrie say, hey, look, I think that we should go get Zach LaVine or Cat, and then Bron overhears that. If Kyrie said that to LeBron in 2016, Bron would have been like, hey, pipe down. No. Kevin don't even get a speaking turn. But if it was in 2019, that's a whole different Kyrie Irving. That's one that got a little bit more playoff experience overall, whatever. He got a little bit more wear and thaw. But yeah, that the Nets just are God. Kevin Durant's trade destinations? Let's go there.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
since
okay,
we're talking about KD.
No problem. Who wants to go first?
You go ahead, take it, Gifted.
Okay. I'm gonna leave out the obvious destination. I want to name a team that a lot of people don't think he has a good chance of going to, but I think structurally, in terms of can it happen or not, it makes more sense. The Houston Rockets are in the KD sweepstakes from the perspective that they have the contracts to give up. They still have unprotected draft capital, which a lot of these trades come down to unprotected draft capital to make it happen. And more importantly, the destination in terms of the ties to Kevin Durant, Ime Udoka and KD have had ties going back since his Brooklyn days. And Houston could be a destination to get other people back if they get Kevin Durant. It's unlikely because people aren't sure if he wants to bank all of his chips on a younger coach team. But I think that they have the framework in place with the star to get back to actually make it make sense. Because Matt Ishbia, I think, is going to want a guy back for Kevin Durant, unless he's willing to take pennies on the dollar, which I doubt he'll do, right? I feel like Houston strategically paid Jalen Green and paid Şengün so their salaries can be trade bait for a star in this offseason. I do believe that.
And here's the thing, Gifted. Houston was my number one team. I talked about it, 2 weeks ago on this show. What if the Houston Rockets, a team that is 16th ranked offensive rating wise and 3rd ranked defensive rating wise, what could they possibly look for or possibly need? A scorer. And who is the best scorer, arguably, in basketball that you could possibly have on your team if you even want to remotely run a slither of AAU basketball? Kevin Durant, number one guy. Now, to get this point, I didn't think about it. The money that they paid Alperen and Jalen Green, you're right, makes a lot of sense because, in my opinion, I asked y'all a couple weeks ago, if you're a Houston Rockets fan right now, Mars, what are you doing right now? Eden, what are you doing? Like, you're thinking the Houston Rockets in the playoffs, who am I going to be able to trust? Yeah, we're the 5th seed right now, but who am I really going to be able to trust offensively? We can trust this defense and trust this coaching as much as we can, but in order to get a bucket, we're going to have to bank on an inefficient Jalen Green. We're going to have to bank on an inexperienced Alperen Şengün. We're going to have to think of Dylan Brooks. Don't nobody want to see that shit. So realistically, they're going to try to make a run at whoever they can get the biggest fish in the damn water. That's Kevin Durant scoring-wise. Completely changes them. I don't know if it changes their pace. They're like 19th or 20th in pace. But to be able to revitalize an offense and spark some energy, the Houston Rockets, and then not only that, like Gifted said, have the ability to make it happen, have the contracts lined up, the assets available, and then not to mention, the Rockets are going to be smart. If they're going to give them an Alperen or a Jalen Green, they're going to keep themselves a Thompson twin. They're going to keep themselves, right? You know what I'm saying? They're going to keep themselves a Torrey Eason. They're going to keep the things that they might need on the back end to support this. But Houston Rockets number one for me. For sure.
And I think the thing that makes the Houston Rockets number one is that they have, keep in mind, the Phoenix Suns are still a second tax apron team, so they can't aggregate salaries, right? So the thing that makes that for them is Fred VanVleet's $42 million contract.
You see what I'm saying?
That was such a terrible contract to give. But if you're saying that, you could trade them Fred VanVleet's contract, which then would mean that at the end of the following season, they would be under the second tax apron. And the Houston Rockets, between now and 2028, the Houston Rockets have 5 tradable first-round picks. The Houston Rockets could put it, even if the Suns say, no, we want a Jalen Green, we want one of those guys back. Cool. All right, we can make that happen too. Whether it's expiring salary, whether it's young talent, whether it's draft picks. The Houston Rockets are one of the few teams that can offer every single one of those things to get that deal done.
And Hayes, the funniest part about all of this is, again, I feel like Kevin Durant's value is depreciating because of the amount of years he has left on his deal compared to if they had gotten this done at the deadline. So just imagine if Houston doesn't have to throw in Şengün or Jalen Green, because realistically, other teams that are trying to contend are not going to be willing to give away their best players to go get KD. Now that they know KD wants out, KD has lowered his value by this even coming out right now in season. So that's a whole other aspect too.
The biggest thing that makes me mad about this too, and I'm gonna toss it over to you, Bama. But the biggest thing that annoys me about this is, as a Kevin Durant fan, like in terms of my top favorite players, he's like number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks for me to see him in this position to where this title is even something that we're talking about. Because when he left Golden State in 2019 or after the 2019 finals, I was like, yo, where is he going to end up? Because I remember when LeBron left Miami, when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, the thought resonated in my head even back then, he'll be back, right? Not only was it because it was the team that drafted him, this is his hometown. So he's definitely gonna come back. And then he did. Kevin Durant, when he left OKC, I was like, okay, when is he going to find his way back to Oklahoma City later on down the line? And then the years passed. Of course, they lost Russell Westbrook, and then now they're a whole different team. Now they have all their assets, they have all their young guys, they have SGA, their franchise player. If he were to go back, it would almost feel like not warranted, not even good for like just the naked eye. Like it wouldn't be a good decision. They're one of my teams in the top 5, but they're low as hell. But I just want to throw that out there. Just like the fact that a player of his caliber is in these type of discussions. Where does he fit? Who wants him? It's like, damn, like who is he? Like an orphan or something? I don't know. Bama, go ahead. That's just a thought I had.
You know, I was thinking, I'm just a casual basketball watcher, man. I don't care too much about the analytics and all that stuff. I just watch the games and recall what I see. And I just see how I fit from there. So it brings me to my next point. Best fit for KD, dog. Me, myself, personally, seeing how KD GM didn't go too well in Phoenix. So now I feel like the teams will have a little bit more say-so, a little bit able to dictate a little bit more. If some way, somehow, Detroit is able to pull it off and get KD. Because they got a few picks. They got a few picks now, top 13 picks, protected top 13 picks, where maybe you could offer those for a KD. Maybe a few people on their bench. They got a few people like Tim Hardaway Jr. I saw Dennis Schroeder on their roster. There's a few people that way you don't have to move none of the young talent. You add KD where they scrapping. That's a major upgrade. Somebody that can score in the half court for the playoffs. And then that's somewhere where I really feel like Kevin Durant can just play basketball. He can play basketball. Or, they talking about Booker, but you got to give up a lot more for Booker. I'm not going to lie. Like, you can get KD and still keep that team, the core pieces of that team, versus bringing Booker over there. You might have to give up a little something for Booker. I ain't going to lie. So I see KD will be a better fit than Booker, just versus off what you would have to give up to get them to come over there.
I like the pick, Bama. I don't like how you didn't name Tobias Harris in that. You said they move Malik easily. Nigga, they better take Tobias Harris and the rest of his roster.
No, I'm just saying whoever though. Like, but they they don't have to give up the ones that you need to win the championship though.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
No, I feel where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
I just question if Kevin Durant's desire to go to the destination matters in this, because the Suns were okay with not trading him because KD said he didn't want to be traded, which makes me think that wherever he goes, he's going to have to sign off on before he goes over there. And I don't know if he wants to go over to play in Detroit. There is another team that makes a lot of sense that I didn't think can make it happen. Initially, I thought it was fan fiction, like Hayes loves to say, but this one team can actually make the Kevin Durant trade happen if they're able to throw in the right salary, and that team will be Golden State. There's a real possibility if they do the Kuminga sign and trade, if they throw in, I would say Buddy Hield's contract as well with B-Pods and the rest of their picks, they could actually sign Kevin Durant, which would be kind of insane, but it's mad doable. Like, it's just a matter of if they want to actually trade their young talent to go get that done this offseason, but they can do it.
Another former Kevin Durant team as well that could do it. I don't know what the interest would be unless they like fizzle out early in the playoffs. Don't overlook the OKC Thunder.
Damn straight.
OKC is interesting because they have so much expectations on this season that they could try that. I do believe J-Dub's contract should kick in next year, I believe. Or like is it the year after?
Hold on.
What about him going back home? Y'all don't like that?
To Dallas?
To Washington?
Oh, Washington.
DC.
Oh, fuck no.
Look, that was
Absolutely
a dream in the 2016 offseason. But I don't think there's any circumstances that would have him going back home unless it's his last year playing basketball. And even then, the chances are like 6% at best.
Yeah.
So, but maybe. But I just don't see like, or if Cooper doesn't run it back again and ends up going to the Washington Wizards or something like that. But even still, like OKC is a good pick for sure. The OKC and the Warriors were also in my top 5. I said the thing for the Warriors, like that would depend on how the postseason goes. That would depend on if playoff Jimmy arrives or doesn't. That would depend on if Jonathan Kuminga is back and the young guys are playing up to par. Because when you think about a postseason run for the Warriors and the ones that have worked in the past years, it's like everybody has been hitting. And if it's not everybody, then they have a legitimate big 4 in some way, shape, or form going off in some way, shape, or form on the court, whether it be shooting, scoring, defending, rebounding, whatever. They can find
y'all still think
something.
KD care about winning?
What you mean, like winning the championship?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I think that there is a part. I don't obviously.
So him recruiting Bradley Beal over there, that was like a real. Because
no, you're right. It was. I'm just
because these dudes are brilliant basketball minds, and I would assume that KD. It's no way he could just really thought that wouldn't work.
No, well, you got to think from a Hooper's mindset. Hooper's hoop, right? So in their thought, I fully believe that Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker felt like, oh, we can all put up 20 to 30 any given night. No, we can make this work. Now, it ended up looking like shit, and every smart person that, even Steve Jobs invented some shitty ass technology. So yeah, I do believe that they really thought that it was going to work, and I don't know why they ever thought that.
And you got to remember too, Devin Booker was on tape saying, I don't know how you're going to stop all of us or whatever. I remember that. So Hayes' point, that was probably their mindset, which was
found a way.
Nothing but offense. And if we have learned anything, especially Kevin Durant, all that offense don't mean nothing. We got 16 games out of you, Kyrie, and Harden. And I will say that based on the state of the NBA that year, if they were all healthy and were really able to have a shot at it, they probably could have made that happen and made that work. And then in another universe, we're looking at Kevin Durant a whole lot differently right now. He's probably not even on the Phoenix Suns, but it is what it is. To me, the Warriors or the Thunder, the possibilities of that, it could happen. But like you said, Bama, it's a question of what does he really want? And I think at this point in his career, what else is there for him to do? He's not getting another MVP. He can get a finals MVP for damn sure. Why not go for it? Why not get yourself another ring? You can break every individual scoring record you can and just keep rising your name.
Can I ask y'all this? Y'all just think every basketball player go play till they 40?
No,
but KD will.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a basketball crackhead for that. I think the reason why KD still wants to win is because he keeps trying to make super teams, and you don't try to make super teams without wanting to win in some way. Because before he got traded to the Suns, remember, he wanted to go to Miami or the Suns. Both teams at the time were number 1 seeds. Both teams had star players. He wanted to play with star players. So to me, the desire to win is there, but the way about actually winning with roster construction, he's not looking too strong at, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we got super chat Hayes too, by the way.
Oh, do we? Hold on.
Yeah, this is about when Bama said earlier he believes Cooper Flag.
Dirk 2.0.
Dirks.
I mean, I don't care what his strong suit is. He's just the second heir to Dirk 2.0. Wouldn't that mean that wouldn't that make him a 2.0?
You're calling Flag Dirk 2.0?
Because I was talking about a narrative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like
I was gone, so I don't know.
Yeah. Like basically,
I was saying the Mavs
lose a lot of games and they draft Cooper Flag, like
then
he could be the second coming of their Dirk.
Because Luka was a guard, so that really wasn't a second coming of Dirk, really. But Flag being a power forward that could just spin that little narrative.
Yeah.
Narratives,
Any other
man.
thoughts,
Narratives.
fellas? Narratives, man. That's what this time of year. The thing from February until the end of March, it's all narratives, bro.
Yeah, I know,
Basketball
Right.
between players resting, gearing up for the playoffs, teams taking a little bit easy. This time period is some of the laziest basketball reporting from the media you will ever see.
definitely.
It's just lazy, bro. It's just lazy, man.
I went from 2 weeks ago saying how good is this OKC team really to is Shea better than Michael Jordan 2 weeks later?
Bro,
it's like, brother.
Yeah, it is what it is there, man. Any last thoughts, fellas, before we get up out of here for today?
Yeah, where's the MVP race for y'all right now?
It's SGA.
It's either Shea or Jokic. Those are the only two answers.
Yeah. And it better not be Jokic because look, I love Jokic and he is still the best player in basketball. But I'm tired of this of the fact that the MVP award people just can't seem to understand. It isn't set in stone. It is subjective every year. And to Bama's point about narratives, as much as we love to talk about narratives, they factor in to the MVP. They always have. They always have in some way, shape, or form. You'll have years where it's clear cut the best player in basketball, but you also have to think that those years have to make sure that the best player in basketball happens to be on a top 3 seed in basketball, preferably number 1. Like these are just unwritten rules that we kind of know are there. SGA checked all the boxes last year. Only difference was we knew that Nikola Jokic was a dog and doing incredible things. And somehow, some way, Nikola Jokic this year got even better than he has been the last couple of years. And in some of his MVPs, maybe his first one, right? We know he's the best player in basketball. That's it. What SGA is doing with the Oklahoma City Thunder and has done all year without Chet Holmgren for the majority of that time, leading a team that is number 1 in the most defensive categories that I think I've ever seen.
And they're a plus 20 when he's on the floor.
Thank you. So the advanced stats are there. The efficiency is there. We holler about him being a free throw merchant, but y'all want us to still show appreciation to MVP Harden. Who was MVP Harden? Oh, a free throw merchant.
But Shea just put up 50 without that many free throws.
Exactly.
These narratives go nowhere with 50-point games on the year.
It's like the most 50-point games on the year, the most 40-point games on the year, most 30-point games on the year. You need the nigga to give you 30. It's minus 180 on DraftKings. It's insane. Like he is the MVP, no doubt about it. If he doesn't win it, I will be shocked. Genuinely, I will be shocked.
Yeah, my MVP is Shea, and a lot of it is the reasons you said. But for me, we said this earlier. If OKC is gapping the wins by a certain point, with Shea averaging 32 points, I'm pretty sure right now he's leading the league in scoring. He's having some of the craziest explosive scoring outbursts this whole season. And again, statistically speaking, for you to be a plus 20 when you're on the floor in a season where Chet goes down and you're still winning an absurd amount of games is crazy. But the fact that the second seed is closer to the 11th seed than the 1 seed is how dominant OKC's been. Yeah. That to me is his best argument, because win-wise, Jokic is not in that conversation. As good as he's been this year, Jokic in any other season would be the MVP. But based off how Shea has played and how positive he impacts his team winning, that counts. And again, the free throw merchant shit is just so funny to me, because he's showing you time and time again he's getting 30 regardless.
Exactly. Who's stopping him? Who's stopping him in isolation? Name a player that stopped SGA in isolation. The worst thing you could do is foul him. But if he gets to his left or he gets to his right, if he can get to a pull-up J or he can get to the rim, whatever he wants to do, he's gonna do. And he's added the 3-point shot to his game this year and helped evolve it since last year. So he's answering the questions of how much more effective can I be offensively while still being a dog defensively. We talk about two-way play all the time. The biggest knock against Nikola Jokic in all of his MVPs was his defense. So you have a player in SGA that not only is giving you 30 and leading the league in scoring while doing it, but he's also giving you league leading in steals and all of these things, deflections, top 5 and all of these things. All of these defensive stats that you would look at any other guard and say, well, damn, okay, I see you, Marcus Smart or Drew Holiday. Nah, this SGA. Like, bro, there is no way that he doesn't win MVP this year. Like you just said, the 1 and the 2 seed discrepancy is insane. But that leads me to this question: where is Donovan Mitchell in y'all's top 5 MVP ranking, or is he even in your top 5? If he's not, is he number 7?
SGA,
that's a genuine
Jokic,
question. I'm genuinely
Giannis.
curious.
I can make a conversation for Donovan Mitchell being 5th.
Thank you.
I can
I
make a
just
conversation.
want to see if it's possible. I just want to see if it's possible, because I was like, "Isn't it too crazy to say he had a top 5 MVP season?"
See, it's hard for me because on paper, Donovan Mitchell's the best player on the team, but I feel like this year the most important player has been Mobley.
Yes. Okay, I can see that point. I see that point.
Hard for me, but man,
well, is Mobley as important to the Cleveland Cavs this year as Kristaps Porzingis was to the Celtics last year?
Way more to me.
Yeah, way more. I think the conversation would be here is Jason Tatum higher than Donovan Mitchell?
That's what I was gonna ask.
MVP ladder.
Ooh, okay.
I think Tatum's had a good season.
That may be a full conversation for next.
You damn straight.
That's full of conversation.
That's facts.
So let's go ahead and put a pin in that one.
Fire show, boys.
Great show, fellas. Great show. Anything else? Anybody want to plug anything before we get up out of here?
Just hoops, man.
Nico Harrison needs to be blank. I'm just gonna leave that.
Nico Harrison is the monkey paw of basketball GMs. He's bad luck. Everything's it's just the bad luck's gonna follow it.
I think they need to put him and Luka in a room and lock the door and just let them just duke it out. Just give him 30 seconds.
So you want to see it? You want to see a murder? Is what you want?
I want to see. No, matter of fact, put Nico Harrison in a room with Nikola Jokic's brothers. Let's do that.
Oh wow.
Let's see what happens.
That's crazy. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys are checking this out, man. We appreciate you for checking this out. Every Tuesdays we are here at 6 p.m. Eastern to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us. We appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We out of here. Love you guys.
Peace out, people. Have a good one.
Peace.
Catch you on next Tuesday.